Hey y'all, I am back with a DIY embellishment video, and this time I'm going to be creating vellum shaker pockets that are layered. So basically what I have here are some shapes of the vellum cut out. So I punched out a circle and I'm doubling up on these so that I can sew them together. I have squares that are 2 by 2. I think I have rectangles that are 3 by 4. And then I have this little die that I bought from Simon Says Stamp, and I believe it's their brand, and it's a little envelope die. And I totally did not know it was going to be that small, but I still use it for this project, and I think they still turned out pretty cute. So for these, since I don't really need to sew on these because they have the flap and because you can adhere these together. So I'm going to go ahead and add my sequins in these, and then the other ones here in a second I'll take to my sewing machine, and like I said, I'll just double those up so I have two shapes that will be put together, and I'll be sewing the edges of those, and I'll show you guys. You won't see the sewing part, but you'll see kind of like the result after I sew. So I'm going to add sequins in there and then close the top flap. On some of these small ones, I don't close the top flap, and I actually prefer it that way. I just end up sewing so that sewing the top so the sequins can't come out, but I leave the flap open because I think that the look of that looks much cuter. So I think in both of these, I probably leave the flap open. And here I sewed the bottom flap down first, and obviously you can't do that because the sequins will fall out. And so really you should, close the bottom without adhering it, but close like one of the side flaps right on top of the bottom one. And I obviously did that wrong because you can see the sequins are falling out. So I do close the top flap, and then I realize that the sequins are falling out. So I'm going to have to go back and sew underneath that here in a second. So I'm going to take these shapes and I'm going to put two together. And I'm going to take I think this is a 3/4 of an inch punch, and I'm just going to cut out a little notch there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the second. So I've got four like squares there, and obviously they're doubled up. And then I have four rectangles here, and those are doubled up as well. And I'm using a 1 1/4 inch punch for that one, although you don't have to use one that large. With the circle one, I'm not going to cut anything up at the top. I'm just going to adhere that together, which was kind of unnecessary. You don't have to adhere the two pieces together. You can just take it right to your sewing machine. So you guys will see here, I've sewn just around the edges and the bottom. So I sewed like three on three sides. So I started at the top and then went around. I just left the top open. Or I started at the top of the side, if that makes sense. And then I left the top open so you could obviously add your sequins in. So you guys understand that, I'm sure. So this little container that I have here, some of these things in there are either wood veneer pieces that are like way too difficult to use because they're super small, or they're like little mini punched hearts or butterflies or something that would also be hard to use on a project just because they're so small. And I put them in there for projects like these, like if I want to make a shaker pocket or something like that. I think that you can really punch your own confetti if you want. I'm using sequins, a mixture of sequins and little confetti and wood veneer pieces. So I'm doing the same thing with the circle. What I did with the circles, I just went around and left a something, a little flap open at the top, or a little spot that's open. That's where I could put the sequins in. And then I just adhered with my vellum adhesive. I adhered the tops together on all of these so that I didn't have to take it back to my sewing machine. So I did that. You could take it back to your sewing machine. I just did that because I liked the look of just the sewn edges and it not being sewn up at the top. But you could take it back to your sewing machine if you wanted to. Now I'm just going to take some various like embellishments that I had sitting on my desk and some things that I just like pulled really quickly, and I'm just going to layer up these pockets, and I think they turn out pretty cute. I try not to use things that are going to cover up the majority of the pocket because obviously the point is seeing the sequins that are in the background or seeing the confetti, but I did choose little things like to kind of mount on the side or to adhere on the side, and then to kind of layer up, and that way you could still see the majority of the pocket. For this one, I thought it was super cute. I found this little pink circle that had a cutout heart, and I must have punched that or used a die for that. or I know I used a die for the pink circle. I think I used a heart die from Lawn Fawn. But I actually am looking for my tiny word stickers right now, and I pretty much cover up that middle. And the whole point of using that one was because, oh, you could still see, you know, the inside of it, but it still turned out pretty cute. And I'm using some paper clips, which I've been doing a lot, and then just some little strips of paper that I have left over from other projects. Like when I did my DIY embellishment, I think it was the Happy Place embellishments from the other day, I had some leftover scraps from that. This little circle one is probably one of my favorites because I just like the way that the colors turn out. And I think the majority of the sequins that I used in that one were pink. I think I use those really pretty pink. I think that they're, oh, that's funny. I think it's Pretty Pink Posh, maybe. I know it's like Triple P brand or whatever. But anyway, I think I got those from Simon Says Stamp too. And I'm just finding, I found this little, so I'm using my hydrangea punch that I've been using a lot, but I found just one piece and needed to punch another little piece to layer, and then I'm looking for an enamel dot right now, and I'm just going to add that right on top. And like I said, that was one of my favorite ones. And then I'm going to work on these little tiny ones now. Again, I'm just going to layer up. This one I keep pretty simple. I just put a little strip of paper and then a tiny word sticker and a paper clip. And then this one I'm using some cork stickers and then a kind of a little mini tag that's cut in half. And then this one I'm going to just layer up some banners. And then, do I add anything else to that? I think I do. I'm just not sure. Oh, I add a little puffy sticker from Pink Fresh Studio. And then another little puffy sticker from Heidi Swap. And then you guys will see the final results. I'm just going to kind of hold those up. And then you guys will see some final photos that will show these much clearer. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great weekend.